Take a deep breath. You grateful to be here today? To be in the presence of this space, of each other. Walked out on my deck this morning and I didn't think it was raining, It didn't occur to me. And then the nice little, that light mist, which is very Pacific Northwest, And it's also very Asilomar. If you know where we have a lot of people, 10, 12 people from our center at Asilomar right now, with about 600 other wonderful souls from Centers for Spiritual Living. Asilomar is in Monterey Bay, outside of San Francisco. And I remember when I first went years ago to the youth program there, made the mistake that many people make when they go to you think, I'm going to a summer conference in August. So I took a suitcase of shorts and T-shirts and froze took us off in Monterey, right? There's that old line that says the coldest winter I ever spent was July in San Francisco. Monterey's close enough for that to be true there too. So that gray sky and the mist, very reminiscent. So we're connecting in meditation this morning with our Asilomar brothers and sisters and the Pacific Northwest. It's just lovely. So take a deep breath. As we move into this space of honoring and recognition of that one power, that one presence, that one life that is the power and the presence and the life of all things. Our focus this month has been the honor and the respect of all people and all nations. I continue to just breathe every time I say that and say, imagine a world in which there's honor and respect for all people and all nations. Yes? And how do we do that? And so we've been talking this month about gratitude and about blessings, and last week about respect, and we're going to pick up that thread on respect as we talk a little bit more today in the form of honor. Honor is a form that respect takes, a visible demonstration of that inner knowing of what respect is, right? If we define honor, it says honor is a high respect, a great esteem. Honor is defined as a person or a thing that brings credit. I thought that was a very interesting definition. A person or thing that brings credit to something, right? Or provides credit. Or an adherence to what is right or conventional by standard or by conduct. So how do we bring honor to each other, to the world, and to our relationships? Ernest Holmes in The Science of Mind says, every thought of cruelty is disturbing to the entire body. Solomon tells us that he that is cruel troubleth his own flesh, and that every adverse thought is cruel. Thoughts of peace and goodwill, a recognition of the unity of all humanity, is the only thing that will produce harmony. Thoughts of peace and goodwill, a recognition of the unity of all humanity, is that which will produce harmony. And so we bring honor and respect to our practice, to our prayer, to our gathering this morning. And I grew up in this tradition. I grew up in New Thought. I didn't find the teaching. My mom found the teaching through Science of Mind magazine. I think I've told that story before. When she was in her 20s working in Phoenix, Arizona, a coworker would lay a copy of she would make a photocopy of the reading from the Science of Mind magazine. That day, and with the affirmation and everything in it. She'd just leave it on her desk. Very subtle way, right? And it's a way of honoring and recognizing, right? Giving somebody their space, right? I can see you're going through, but I don't know you like that, right? But here, this might help, right? Very gentle, very non-invasive. My mom could take it or leave it, right? Throw it in the trash if it wasn't her thing, or she could take it and take it in. The magazine it's a great promotional tool, FYI, if you're not getting the magazine. That's for you, Science of Mind. And you can find me in there every month. Amen. And so my mom would read it, and then pretty soon she'd ask questions of this friend of hers, and they became good friends. She said, well, if you ever want to go to the church, there's a church here oh, my mom, oh, I'm not into church. Oh, no, it's not really church, right? Not like what you think, right? It's not that kind of church, right? Whatever that means, but we all say that to our friends, don't we? So, what'd you do today? Oh, I went to church. And then they give you a look, and then you're like, no, not that, right? Got to find some other way to say it, right? So she eventually went, and then that was the place I was raised. So I say all that to say I was raised in this tradition that talked about honor and respect and one power and a universal truth that exists in, through, and as all things. And so I grew up looking for it. I grew up looking for it, saying, all right, well, if that's true, then let me see what it looks like in this tradition and that tradition, and let me see what it looks like over there. And I grew up, and today I often use this phrase that sometimes confuses people, but I say, I think God's favorite holiday is Halloween. Right? He likes to show up in masks and disguises, right? And it's up to us to answer the door and decide, is this a trick or is this a treat? Right? It's just God showing up in a different form, right? But we got to see beyond the appearances. We got to see beyond the mask. We got to see beyond what might frighten us, or what might disturb us, or what we might judge as one thing or another. And so we can now see this beautiful tradition. I have a ruler on my bookshelf. It's literally, it's about this thick and this long, and it's called the Golden Rule. And it's painted gold, and it talks about the Golden Rule. And then in very small print, it has from about 11 different religious traditions, the Golden Rule written on it, and the traditions that they belong to. I've had it for a very long time. And today you can get whole posters that have all of the traditions, and I have one here. And we can see it in all the different ways. Last week I talked a little bit about the tradition of Islam. In Islam, in the Hadith, the Prophet Muhammad said, not one of you is a true believer until you wish for others what you wish for yourself. In Judaism, it says, what is hateful to you, do not do unto your neighbor, for this is the whole Torah. All the rest is commentary. What is hurtful or hateful to you, do not do unto your neighbor. This is the whole Torah. All the rest is commentary. Jainism, it says, one should treat all creatures in the world as one would like to be treated. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Zoroastrianism. Got to make sure your dentures are up when you say that one. Do not do unto others what is injurious to yourself. In Native spirituality, I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, and then New Mexico, so I grew up with a lot of Native American tradition and spirituality influencing my own understanding of New Thought. And the Native traditions and the First People traditions, it says, from Chief Dan George, it says, we are as much alive as we keep the earth alive. An interesting one to contemplate right now, yes? From the Unitarian tradition, we affirm and promote the respect for the interdependence and web of all existence of which we are a part. Of course, we know the Christian version, in everything do unto others as you would have them do unto you, for this is the law of the prophets. In Sikhism, I am a stranger to no one, and no one is a stranger to me. Indeed, I am a friend to all. Taoism, it says, regard your neighbor's gain as your own gain, and your neighbor's loss as your own loss. In Confucianism, it says, one word which sums up the basis of all conduct and loving kindness. Do not do unto others which you would not want done unto yourself. Buddhism, it says, treat not others in ways that you would find hurtful to yourself. And in Hinduism, it says, it is the sum duty, do not do unto others what would cause pain if done unto you. Are you finding a thread? Are you finding a common truth? And finally, from the Baha'i faith, lay not on any soul a load that you would not wish to be laid upon you, and desire not for anyone the things that you would not desire for yourself. And so there's something about this common thread. There's something about this golden rule. And you begin to dissect and understand what exists in each of those statements, what you find is that there's an expression of honor and respect for everyone as yourself, which means that honor and respect has to start where? With yourself. That the honor and respect for the other is only a demonstration of an internal understanding and knowing of who and what you really are. That's why last week when I was talking about respect, I talked about us being in relationship with the divine. And to be in relationship with something, you have to know the thing that you're in relationship with. And to know it means to be engaged in conversation. It means to be engaged in an intimacy and a vulnerability and an openness, so that the more you know it, the more comfortable you are with it, and the more you know yourself, then the more you can respect others. Have you ever noticed that the places where we judge that there is the least amount of respect, the least amount of honor, the least amount of dignity being expressed to other human beings are sourced from places that we might perceive as having a lack of their own self-respect? Have you noticed that? That's why I'm so cautious when I watch the news. Because it's easy, right? It's easy. I don't know about you, but for me, it's easy to get upset. It's easy to start hurling epithets and things, not physical things, but verbal things. It's easy to get my blood curling and to be so upset at the lack of dignity and respect and common decency when I hear about certain things. I'll just leave it there. You understand? Yes? It's so easy to go there. And when I find myself going there, I take a breath and I walk away. And the reason that I walk away is not because I'm not one that promotes the idea of I don't think la 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 is spiritual practice. I don't think that's a spiritual practice. Right? So I know some people I don't watch the news. Okay, well, I do. Right? I want to know what's happening in the world. But when I find myself going there and beginning to come from a angry place within myself or a judging place within myself and casting a wide swath of judgment on those that I think are the issue or the problem, if they would just and if they would just go to this place in a handbasket, I'll provide one. You understand what I'm saying? Come on, talk to me, somebody. Right? I take a breath and I walk away because I want to get back to a place where I am coming from honor and respect. And so the question is, how do I do that? How do I hold a sense of righteous indignation but still hold a sense of deep respect, first and foremost for myself, and then let that express through that which is happening around me? And I'll tell you that it's a practice. And it's a practice to go deeper and deeper and deeper and listening and listening and listening to what is happening within me. And to say, where am I coming from judgment? Where am I coming from separation? Where am I identifying myself as separate from that which is happening around me? Because there is no separation in oneness. There is no otherness in oneness. Right? The great Hebrew theologian, a Jewish scholar and theologian Martin Buber. That's right, Martin Buber, for those of you playing a sermon reference, theologian reference bingo at home for David Alexander. Martin Buber. Martin Buber said there is no individual I. There is no individual self. There is only the self in relationship to the world around it. There is I, it, which is the I identifying with the objects, objectivity, and objectifying its relationship with things around it. Or there is the I in communion with the divine, which is I, thou. There's I, it, or there's I, thou. There is no I. You don't exist. Only in relationship to the world around you. And so what is that relationship? And so what is happening within me? And so in order for me to criticize something, I have to know it first. I'm going to say that again. In order to criticize something, I have to know it first. I have to know deeply where the pain is coming from, where the hurt is coming from, what the argument is. You see, I find it interesting to be growing up in a philosophy of inclusion, which, by the way, creates all kinds of interesting dynamics growing up, right? It's really hard to rebel against inclusion, right? It's really hard. You wake up and you're just kind of you just want to be one of those, you're just a teenager, just a little off kilter, you just want to just be a little attitude, I'm going to rebel. I'm going to forget all that stuff. I'm going to go be a Buddhist. Right? And they go, good. Yes, good. Yeah. Right? Come back in 6 months and teach a class. Right? I'm going to go do this. Oh, good. Yeah, we'd like to know more about that ourselves. Right? It's hard to rebel against inclusion. That's what I'm saying. And so, because of that, I have gone deep into my own understanding, into my own study, into searching out other scholars so that I might know my own tradition, but that I also might know the traditions that influence it. What I've learned is that New Thought is highly influenced by not only this golden thread idea that runs through all religions, but all of the early writers, including Ernest Holmes, were deeply influenced by their Christian faith and their Christian background. And because they lived in a Christian, contextual world of a Judeo-Christian context, they spoke directly to and through the Christian tradition in order to illuminate the deeper truth that they were trying to articulate, a tradition that was even beyond it, but they had to speak through it. Are you following what I'm saying? And so I have had to do the same thing for myself, because I find it interesting sometimes with my colleagues that we're so inclusive that we reject Christianity. Right? I'll tell you a little story. See, I'm removed from my first ministry now, so I can tell these stories. That's not true. I would tell these stories there too. But 15 years ago, when we started New Thought Center in Lake Oswego, and then in 2010 we found this great site, which was an old Lutheran church that had been around since the 1950s in Lake Oswego, and it's got a great big not a steeple, but the roof is a great big steep roof line, sloped, with a big cross on top of it. And so we moved into the building. Everybody kept asking me, Reverend David, when are we taking down the cross? Right? How much do we need to fundraise to take down the cross? And I said, we're not taking down the cross. And they said, what? They said, well, it might turn some people off. I said, yeah, I know, Stacy, there's no such thing as bad press. But Lake Oswego is a very small town. They have a paper that's only printed once a month, and it has the police blotter in it. And that's the only thing people, the police, with every call that they've made and everybody that they've stopped and all of that. This is Mayberry is what I call this little town. Everybody knows everything. And I said, now I know there's no such thing as bad press, but the last thing I want is to be on the front page of that paper with a big crane ripping the cross off saying, inclusive church moves to town. It's not exactly so we want to include. The tradition is to transcend and include, not transcend and exclude. Right? It's to transcend and include, which is to go into deeper understanding. And so as I went into deeper understanding, I found people like theologian Paul Tillich. There you go, there's another one. By the way, the theologian reference, bingo, Ernest Holmes is the free space in the middle. And then you go from there, right? So you got Martin Buber, you got Paul Tillich today. Paul Tillich said Christianity is not about Christianity. He said to make Christianity about Christianity, or to make it about a cross, or to make it about a book, or to make it about a creed, is to completely miss the point of Christianity. I tell you, I would read that passage and I'd have to flip and look at the book again and say, am I reading Ernest Holmes? Am I reading some other New Thought person? Who am I reading? I'm reading a German-trained Lutheran theologian that's never read a New Thought book in his life. He's saying Christianity is not about Christianity. To make it about a cross or a creed or a book or anything else is to completely miss the point. Christianity can only be about one thing, and that's about a new way of being, a new consciousness in the world. And to make it about anything less is to completely miss the point. If you want to get into Paul Tillich, go lightly because he's heady and thick. But if you want a little easier read of Paul Tillich, then you turn to the work of Bishop John Shelby Spong. Bishop Spong, or Uncle Jack, as we call him in New Thought Center, because he was the uncle of one of my practitioners there. So Uncle Jack said this about it. And if you look at any one of his books, you'll find Paul Tillich quoted quite a lot. So I say that he's the modern interpretation of Paul Tillich's work, along with his own. He said, "My Christian life is thus a journey for which there is no literal roadmap. I am convinced that if I walk the journey deeply enough and faithfully enough, it will lead beyond all religious forms, beyond scripture, creed, doctrine, and dogma, into the wordless wonder of the true meaning of worship. The Christian church exists, I believe, to point all of us beyond the boundaries of our humanity. It's a pity that the institutional religion in all of its forms does not understand its own message." Right? To understand, to respect something, to honor something, means to go into it, to be in deep relationship with it, so that you can extract the wisdom from it and then speak from that place. Ernest Holmes says, "Mental science does not deny the divinity of Jesus, but it does affirm the divinity of all people. It does not deny that Jesus was the Son of God, but it affirms that all men and women are the sons and daughters of God. It does not deny that the kingdom of God was revealed through Jesus, but it says that the kingdom of God is also revealed through you and through me." And so when we honor something, we bring all of our understanding to it. What I've come to understand is that honor is what we bring to the altar of our understanding. Honor is what we bring to the altar of our understanding. To the degree that I understand something, I can honor it. If I don't understand it, I can't honor it. And if I don't understand it, then I can criticize it, I can make it wrong, I can separate it from myself and say that thing is the problem with all of humanity. But in doing so, in a consciousness of oneness and allness, what I'm really doing is dishonoring the very thing that I proclaim, which is that God is all there is. You see? So it forces me, every place where I am critical about the world around me, it forces me into deeper relationship of my own understanding that God is all that there is. Are you with me? And so the respect and the honoring must begin from within inside of ourselves. To respect something, you must be in relationship with it. The infinite is in relationship with you. And it took 14 billion years to bring you to this point. Don't you think that deserves a little bit of respect? Right? It took 14 billion years of stardust and cosmological explosions and heat waves and icebergs and solar flares and all kind. What else? What are some other? Who am I? Never mind. You understand. I wanted to get a little Pentecostal there, and I just lost the momentum. But 14 billion years to bring you to this moment, to your breath, to your consciousness, to this planet. Do you know who you are? If the universe is already in partnership with you, and it has done all of that in relationship to honor and respect and knowing, what are you doing to bring yourself into that covenant? What are you doing in your study, in your internal inspection and reflection and in your understanding of who and what you are? What are you doing to understand? You see that there is Ernest Holmes would say that there's a power in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. There's a power in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. But here's the thing that he didn't say that's subtle, that's right underneath that text, which is there's a power in the universe greater than you are, and it's already using you. It's already in partnership with you. It's already moving through you. It's already moving through all of life. It's already set up the game to say, you are my expression. You are my outlet. You are my manifestation. And here's the game. Here are the laws. The laws of consciousness, the laws of circulation, the laws of reciprocity. Here are the laws, and I'm already in partnership with you. The question is, are you going to be in partnership with me? The question is, are you going to recognize what's here? Are you going to recognize what's happening? The choice is yours, but I'm already in, Full tilt boogie. I am already in. The universe is in partnership with you to conspire to bring about your highest good. And so the highest form of respect and honor that we can give to ourselves is to hold that relationship sacred and take time. And so how do we do that? How do we do that? Well, we know some things about the external world, right? We know that what we think about others, how we treat others, is a reflection of our own inner consciousness. So we know that it begins with us. We know that we have to examine, well, what is it that I'm thinking about myself? What is it that how am I holding that relationship? Ernest Holmes says that there's a law of multiplicity in nature. You have a right to expect what you wish for others to be returned to you through others. But you have no right to expect that you can reap where you have not sown. You have no right to expect that you can reap where you have not sown. And so we reap right where we are. We reap our own understanding through the intimacy of relationship with the divine. Back to Paul Tillich again, and a phrase that you'll hear a lot from me because Paul's one of my guys. You'll hear Holmes, you'll hear Paul Tillich just as much. And Paul Tillich says, the first duty of love is to listen. The first duty of love is to listen. If I really respect you, if I really want to honor you, what does that mean? It means I take time to listen, to really hear. If I'm talking about interpersonal relationship, it means I take time to really understand your perspective, to really, even if I disagree with it, even if it offends me, even if I'm put off by it, I take time. If I really want to respect and honor the relationship, I'll put aside my offense. Yes? I'll put aside my offense and I'll say, tell me more about that. If I don't respect you, if I don't want to honor you, then I'll just hold on to my offense and talk about how right I am and about how wrong you are. And we'll all go about our merry little way. Right? But if I really respect and honor you, then I will recognize, oh, I have an offense here. Yeah, this triggered me in that particular way. I get that. And first of all, I honor and respect. I own it. You see? You can't talk about honor without talking about responsibility. If I really honor what's happening inside of me when I watch the news, then I take responsibility for what's happening inside of me when I watch the news. I'm going to say that again because you didn't catch it. I know you didn't. If I really honor and respect what's going on inside of me, then I take responsibility for what's going on inside of me. So I notice all of my triggers and I say, oh yeah, that when they said that, when they did that, when I saw that report, when it did, yeah, that's what it did, all right. And that's 100% mine. I own that. I own all of that. And so the news becomes a spiritual interrogation about what's going on in your consciousness, because there are no headlines. There's just revelations of internal workings of our own relationship with the divine. Oh, I used to call it, what did I used to call it? I used to call it Maddow and Martini Hour. But now, I gotta, now I gotta have my science of mind next to me, and my prayer beads and some incense, and some essential oils. You understand? So you got to listen. What's happening? What's going on inside of me that I have this judgment about that? My favorite Emerson quote. Ralph Waldo Emerson. You're getting close. You're getting close. What do you need, 4 or 5 for bingo? Just one more. Let's see. I don't know if I got somebody else in there today, but we'll see. One of my favorite Emerson quotes says, I appeal from your customs. I love reading him about interpersonal relationships. We get a chance in the education cycle to take roots. Oh, you want to take that class because we go deep into Emerson in that class. I appeal to you from your customs. I must be myself. He's so good at understanding his own stature in the world. He says, I cannot break myself any longer for you or you. If you can love me for what I am, we shall be all the happier. If you cannot, I will still seek to deserve that you should. Oh, listen to that. If you can love me for what I am, we shall be all the happier. If you cannot, I will still seek to deserve that you should. But be clear, I must be myself. I will not hide my taste or my aversions. I will so trust that what is deep is holy, that I will do strongly before the sun and the moon whatever rejoices me and the heart appoints. If you are noble, I will love you. If you are not, I will not hurt you and myself by hypocritical attention. If you are true, but not in the same truth with me, cleave to your companions. I will seek my own. I do not do this selfishly, but humbly and truly. It is alike your interest and mine, and all humanity's, however long we have dwelt in the lies, to live in truth. It is alike your interest and mine, and all of humanity's, however long we have dwelt in lies, to live in truth. And so as we begin to examine and do our own inner work, as we begin to listen to the inner self, we bring greater levels of respect and honor to that relationship, that there is something happening in, through, and as us. And as we deepen that relationship, as we deepen those ties, as we deepen that understanding of the metaphysical bond that we have with the 14 billion years of stardust that is coming through us at this moment, something amazing happens in the covenant. The entire power of the universe comes behind our intentions and our desires, and it seeks to awaken us into a humanity and a world that works for everyone. This week, our friends and spiritual family of Centers for Spiritual Living are gathering. They're having their closing morning at Asilomar. And in 1959, in August of 1959, Ernest Holmes gave his last public address to our movement in that chapel on those holy grounds. And in that, he gave what today we refer to as the Sermon by the Sea, because it's a chapel that has a beautiful backdropped window that looks out onto the sand dunes and the ocean, Pacific Ocean behind it. And I want to read just a few excerpts from that Sermon by the Sea, because I think it reveals to me what it looks like when somebody lives in close respect and honor with that divine presence within them, and then outpictures it as a challenge to the rest of humanity to live into that covenant. And then I have one more thing after that. He says, "It would be indeed wonderful if a group of persons should arrive on earth who were for something and against nothing. This would be the suum bonum, the Latin phrase for the highest good of human organization, wouldn't it? It is in the life of the individual. Find me one person who is for something and against nothing, who is redeemed enough not to condemn others out of the burden of his soul, and I will find another Savior, another Jesus, an exalted human being. Find me one person who no longer has any fear of the universe or of God or of man or of anything else, and you will have brought to me someone in whose presence we may sit, and all fear shall vanish as clouds before the sunlight. Find me someone who has redeemed his own soul, and he shall become my Redeemer. Find me someone who has given all that he has in love without morbidity, and I will have found the lover of my soul. Is it not true? Because he will have revealed to me the true nature of God and proved to me the possibility of all human souls. Find me one person who can get his own littleness out of the way, and he shall reveal to me the immeasurable magnitude of the universe in which I live. Find me one person who knows how to talk to God, really, and I shall walk with him through the woods, and everything that seems inanimate will respond. The leaves of the trees will clap their hands. The grass will go soft under him. Find me someone who communes with cause and effect in the evening, and the evening stars will sing to him, and the darkness will turn to light, and through him the woman who touched the hem of the garment of Christ was healed. So shall I be healed. of loneliness forever. It goes on and on and on. And at the end, he says, find me 1,000 people who know this and who use this, and the world will no longer be famished. How important it is that each of us, in his own simple way, should live from God, to God, with God, and back to each other. That's what they'll be reflecting on this morning when they wake up at Asilomar. See, here's the thing. Honor leads to our responsibility, the responsibility of our understanding of the divine. Because you and I practice a philosophy that says we know that God and I are one, it means that you and I are the causative agent by which a world that works for everyone makes itself known in the world. It means that you and I have a great responsibility to bring honor and respect to all people and to all nations. And then finally, what I am sure will be a book of the month, if not, I know we missed the summer reading club. I've heard the feedback. It'll be back next year, and I'm already making a long list of books that we will have different focuses on, and no doubt this will be one of them, Creating a World That Works for All by Sharif Abdullah. And in the back, he has a pledge for those who want to take seriously this work of honor and responsibility. And he says this, I believe in inclusivity. I believe that our lives are inextricably linked to one another. We cannot wage war against anyone without waging war against ourselves. Therefore, I will practice inclusivity with myself, my family, my community, the natural world, and all others. I will actively work towards the goal of an inclusive society, a world that works for all. I know that we are one. Therefore, I will give to you what I want for me, for I know that there is enough for all. I want everyone to win. Therefore, I will work to resolve all conflicts to every party's satisfaction. I want acceptance. Therefore, I will accept for myself who and what I am, and I will accept for you who and what you are. And I will accept all others for who and what they are. Even if I resist their behavior, I will accept you as a child of God, as a part of the divine. I want no harm. Therefore, I will do no harm to myself or to you or to others by thought, by word, or by deed. I want forgiveness. Therefore, I will forgive myself, and I will forgive you, and I will forgive all others. I want to be free. Therefore, I will not let others dominate, control, or manipulate me, and I will not dominate, control, or manipulate you or others. I want peace. Therefore, I will be peaceful with myself and with you and with all others. I want love. Therefore, I will love myself. I will love you, and I will love all others. These are just a few of the things, what it looks like to create a world that works for everyone, that is filled with the honor and the respect for all people and all nations. Can we join together now in prayer to solidify in consciousness this inspiration into possibility? I invite the practitioners to join me in consciousness, to stand if they're able around the room, simply by doing so an act of encircling the collective consciousness of all of us gathered here. To all of us gathered online as well, to the many people who watch, whether it is live on Sunday morning or throughout the week or throughout the day as it circulates throughout the world. We have a large online audience, and we're grateful for each of them. And I join and invite them to take a breath right where they are with us. I feel our consciousness uniting with those gathered at Asilomar. I feel our consciousness uniting with all places, all holy places, all temples, all mosques, all churches, all sacred land, all stars and all grass, all sacred gathering circles of fire and earth and water. to claim and to know that there is a power within us greater than we are. It is already using us. The question is, are we willing to use it? Are we willing to be in partnership with the divine, to show deep respect and honor for that which is moving in through and as our consciousness by seeking to know it, be in relationship with it, show honor and respect to it by using it wisely and allowing that respect to reveal itself in how we greet one another and how we treat one another as an extension of what we know to be true about ourselves. So in this moment, I claim my wholeness, my divinity, my peace, my prosperity, my divine right relationship with all things, people, and activities, seen and unseen, that I am in my right place, doing my right work, filled with an abundance of all good things, of dynamic health and vitality, and the circulation of good that is pressed down and overflowing. And it reveals itself because I know that to be the truth of who and what I am. It therefore, in this moment, reveals itself as the truth of all of my relations and how I show up in the world. I see it, I feel it, and I am it. Here and now. For this and so much more, I'm truly grateful and thankful as I release this word. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you. Peace and blessings.